Hi everyone, it's Stacy. Thank you for coming on this yoga leap with me. Welcome to anyone new finding the videos for the first time. Welcome back to those of you who've been practicing here through the lens for the last while. I have my chair here and I'm going to be flowing in between the chair and the mat. So if you are practicing on one or the other and you're waiting for me to cue or waiting for me to catch up to you if I'm cueing in the other one, just go ahead, continue with the movement, or find a restful pose, child's pose, or mountain pose, depending on where we are, and just take a few breaths in that posture. Anything that feels good is perfect. If you have other props other than the chair that you like to practice with, go ahead and grab those. That could be blocks, bolsters, straps, blankets, anything that you like. And we are going to start seated on the mat or in the chair. So I'll meet you back there in a minute. Okay, I'm going to make my way down to the floor. If you're practicing in your chair, go ahead, find a comfortable seated position in the chair. You can rest your feet on the floor or the block. If you find that the chair of your feet are sort of dangling, that is a really great reason to grab a block. It just brings the floor up closer to you, and that's true for any posture. If you are in any kind of balance posture and you're reaching down towards the ground, a block just brings the ground up a little higher to you and helps you find that depth or that little bit of ease in the posture as well. So blocks are great and I highly recommend them. Maybe I'll just leave mine here for easy access. I don't typically use too many other props in the videos because I'm not sure what people have at home, but you can use a book, anything you have, if you want. Everything's optional. Let's begin. Find your comfortable seat in your chair, feet planted on the block or the ground, back nice and tall. Same in the floor here, just finding any comfortable position for your legs. You can be seated in an easy seated pose. If lotus or half lotus is comfortable for you at the beginning of the practice, go ahead and find that as well. We'll all look for those sit bones. We can rock back and forth a little bit. Find the sit bones so that we're stacking our joints on top of the sit bones there. Hands can be on our lap with palms turned up or turned down. I think I just did the opposite of what I said there, but you know what I mean. They can rest over heart center or anywhere else that feels comfortable for you. And then lastly, if it's comfortable for you in your space, go ahead and close your eyes. If not, maybe just turning the gaze down towards the floor and find something nice and still to rest that gaze on. All right, that was a lot of talk. Let's quiet it down a little bit and find a few moments of deep breathing, a few moments of turning inward a little bit and just checking in with ourselves and seeing how we're feeling. We have taken the time to come to our mat and our chair because we want to honor our body and mind a little bit with some movement and maybe some meditation. Whatever it is you're looking for here today, you've found your way here. So let's honor that. We can start by checking in, noticing how our breath is feeling, noticing the quality of the breath. So all the qualities, how deep or shallow is the breath, how fast or slow is the breath. And always remember there's no right or wrong, especially at these moments of check-in. We're just checking in. So whatever's happening is obviously right because it's happening. So don't worry about changing it, just checking in, noticing, maybe also how our bodies are feeling. You can scan our bodies sort of from head to toe, front to back, side to side. Just notice if there are any areas where we feel particularly good, particularly loose or strong. Spend a few moments just focusing our attention on those areas. And then maybe checking in with our physical bodies and finding some spaces or areas where maybe we're not feeling the best. So that could just be an area of tension or tightness, just an area that might feel heavy or stuck. Focus our attention there. If you have none, that's great. Don't worry about it. Just go back to finding another area that feels great. Continuing to breathe and maybe check in again with the breath. Has it changed at all? Has it deepened or slowed? And again, there's no right or wrong. And then checking in with any other senses, any smells, any sounds around where you are. Any areas of connection, so depending on where our hands are resting, on our heart center, our lap, maybe our feet and sit bones connecting to our chair and mat. Noticing any sounds. And then when we feel ready and we've spend some time connecting with all of our senses, we can open the eyes if they aren't already. And let's take a few breaths. Let's inhale and sweep the arms up overhead. Let's inhale, just bring them down. Moving nice and slow. And imagine you're actually moving through some water or some honey. Inhale to reach up and exhale, pressing the hands down. Let's do another one like that. Inhale, find length through the spine. Reach the fingertips up, 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 and then exhale. This time, let's inhale, reach up, and then we're going to grab onto our left wrist with the right hand, reach up, 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 and then over. So we're reaching up and over, finding a nice side bend. And we're not letting the hand and arm collapse in front of our face. Let's try to open up so it's truly a side bend, and we want to stay nice and heavy through the opposite side here, reaching up and over, side bend. And then we'll inhale, release. Good, let's do the other side. Inhale, grabbing onto the opposite wrist this time, reaching up so we're finding length down the side, and then up and over as we gently guide the wrist over. You don't want to pull it and we don't want to be collapsing inward. Stay nice and open, heavy through that right sit bone. Release and exhale. Good. Let's inhale here. We're going to find a twist as we exhale. So the hands are going to start to come down as we twist through the core, and our right hand crosses in front of the body. It might find the outside of the left knee there just to gently guide us into this twist. The left hand supports behind us by pressing into the floor. We're twisting through belly, ribs, and chest. And if it's comfortable, maybe even looking back over the shoulder, rooting down through the sit bones so our spines are nice and tall. We'll stay for another breath here, a full cycle of inhale and exhale. And then as we inhale, let's come through center, unwind, reach up, and then we'll exhale, twist to the other side. So left arm crosses, finds the outside of that knee. Right hand comes behind and presses into the floor to help us sit up nice and tall as we guide our belly, chest, and shoulders into the twist, and maybe look over the shoulder. Staying for a full cycle of breath. Inhale and exhale here. And then inhale, untwist. Let's come through center. Let's do a few of those with breath. Inhale here, exhale, twist. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, twist. One more on each side. Inhale, reach up. I'm running out of space here. Exhale. Inhale. And exhale. Good, let's come through center. Inhale. Let's draw the hands through heart center and release them back down to our lap. Let's do a few seated cat-cows here. If you want, you can go on to all fours if you're on the ground and ready to get out of the cross-legged position at any time. If you feel like you want to change the position of the legs, if you're seated, go ahead and do that as well. So to do our seated cat-cow, we want to lift through the center, lift the heart space up towards the ceiling here as we open up. Find a bit of a curve in the spine, but not just for the sake of it. We're lifting up and reaching up towards the ceiling. This is our inhale. As we exhale, we're going to start to round through the spine. Imagine even sort of pressing into the knees to splay the shoulder blades. And then pull that heart space through. And press the shoulder blades apart. Exhale here. Inhale. And exhale. So moving at your own pace. Let's do one more. As we inhale this time, we'll just come up to a nice seated position. And now we're just going to get the hips involved a little bit. So we're going to start to rotate through the hips. Hands on the thighs. And if you're seated in the chair and you need to find a little bit more space for this, just step the feet a little bit wider apart. Let's take a big inhale just like we did. And then we're going to rotate and find stretch down the side. Exhale as we round, just like in our cat-cow, and then stretch down the side. Inhale as we come to the front. So as big or as small as we like, as we inhale and exhale and find these hip rotations. Notice how it feels to move from side to side on the sit bones. Inhale to reach forward. Exhale, round. Weight shifting, we're rotating in one direction here, noticing any creaks or cracks. All right, as we come to our next inhale, let's sit up nice and tall. Again, if you want to switch the cross of the legs at any time, by all means, go ahead and do that. Let's take a big inhale and exhale here, and then we're going to start to rotate in the other direction. So let's pull our heart space through as we inhale. Exhale, we'll rotate in the other direction. Inhale to pull that heart space through. This time sort of hanging on to the knees to splay the shoulder blades if you're seated like me, and then pulling the heart space through. Exhaling as we round. Inhale as we pull forward, and maybe just noticing how it feels different going in this direction. Let's inhale, come up to seated. Okay, awesome. Let's now just uncross the legs a little bit. Let's come into a little bit of an easy seated, sort of gentle butterfly pose. If you're in the chair, the feet can just stay nice and wide and you can find a bit of a forward fold. We're stretching through the inner line of the thighs here. Or if the feet can come together on the floor like this and you can lean forward in the chair, go ahead and do that as well. For those of us on the floor, we're just coming into our butterfly. Hands can rest on our ankles, maybe on the soles of our feet or the toes, wherever it feels best here. We're kind of still warming up, so even though you might normally be reaching for toes, it might not feel perfect yet, no problem. So we'll just find a little bit of a lean forward in our butterfly here. If you're feeling like you want to open up the knees a little bit more, we can press the thighs apart using our elbows a little bit. We want to stay nice and upright with the chest just to begin with here. A little bit of stretch through the inner thighs. Maybe you're feeling this on the outer thighs as well, like in the hip area. Stay for another round of breath. And then we'll come on up. Good. Let's bring the knees together, straighten the legs out in front of us. Now, if you're in the chair, depending on the type of chair you have, if it's a bit wobbly, you may want to do one leg at a time. So in the chair, you'll have one foot resting on the ground, one foot extended out, and you'll stretch one leg at a time, one hamstring behind the leg at a time. If you're seated on the ground, go ahead and find those sit bones again. We'll sit up nice and tall, and with a nice tall back, so we have as if we have a piece of plywood hinged to our back, we're going to hinge forward. So we're hinging from the hips, so we're reaching sort of over the edge of the toes. And again, it's still a bit of a warm up, so you might be thinking, oh, I can normally stretch a bit more than this. We're just sort of checking in with Backs of the legs here, seeing how we feel, staying with this nice tall spine. And if you're in the chair, maybe switching legs. So step the opposite leg in and straighten the other one out and feel the stretch down the back of the opposite leg. Keep flexing those toes back towards the face. And keep breathing here. All right, let's walk ourselves back up. Now we're going to bring one leg in. So we'll bring our right leg in. If you're in the chair, you might just go through the one leg stretch that you just did one more time. Those of us on the floor, we're going to catch up with you with this one leg stretch. So we're going to bend that right leg, foot on the inside of the thigh. Take a big inhale here. And again, a gentle lean forward. Imagine you're sort of trying to get the chest over the toes there. Find that one leg stretch. Just notice where else you're feeling it now that we've just changed the shape a little bit, and see if you can flex those baby toes back towards the face and see how that might change the stretch down the back of the leg. Nice tall spine, we're not rounding down, we're just really checking in with the back of the leg there. So tall chest reaching over the edge of the leg for one more breath. And then we'll come on up. And before we go to the other side, let's bring that knee in and cross it over. So you can do this in the chair just by crossing your legs. We're going to come into a twist. So we'll sit up nice and tall. Our right hand will come behind to help us sit up nice and tall. And if you're in the chair, I'll join you in a minute and show you some options. You maybe just be reaching underneath the chair or reaching to the side of the chair to help you sit up nice and tall as well. And then the left arm, we can inhale up and exhale as we twist. That elbow might come across and hook onto the outside of the leg, or maybe you just want to wrap the inside of the elbow around the knee, hold on to the leg here. We don't want to yank too much, but it will help us maybe get just a little deeper in this stretch and maybe help feel a bit more stretch down the outside of the leg. So if you're in this position on the floor, stay here. If you're in the chair, we did a couple rounds of one leg stretching and then the other to get that stretch down the back of the leg. And then we are now crossing the legs, so we're just seated nice and easy. And this is what I'm talking about. Maybe, depending on the type of chair you have, maybe you're holding onto the back of the chair. Maybe you can reach down underneath the chair and then inhale and cross over. Now the knee might not be very high. You can adjust it, or you can just cross with a straight arm, just kind of like we did in our warm up here. So this will be our twist in the chair. We'll stay for another few breaths. And then let's untwist everything. Good. Uncross our legs. Give it a little shake. If you're on the floor, you can shake the legs as well. And then I'm going to join you back on the floor, and we'll go to the other side. Okay. This time we'll bring our left foot in, rest it down on the inside of the right thigh there. Take a big inhale, and again, hinge forward like you're glued to a piece of plywood, and just find that one leg stretch. And think about flexing those baby toes back towards your face. Hinging forward, noticing where else you might be feeling this stretch. You might be feeling it a little bit in the outer thigh, down the back of the leg. And as you flex and change the position of the toes, notice where that changes the stretch as well. It's all about kind of tuning in with our bodies and seeing how we feel and just really checking in. All right, let's stay for one more breath. Remember, in these folds, we're trying to get over top of the toes, at the edge of the toes there, rather than curving down and melting down. We can maybe do that a little bit later as we warm up a bit. All right, let's come on up. Let's cross that left foot over and find our twist. So you can do that in the chair as well, just like I showed you. For those of us on the floor, that left hand comes behind us to help us sit up nice and tall. Right arm sweeps up, and then as we twist through belly, chest, and core, that arm can cross over, or maybe we just hook knee into our elbow, just to help us get a little deeper into the stretch. Maybe we're looking over our shoulder. Notice how we feel on this side. I'm really noticing on this side I'm a lot stiffer, so I feel like my knee isn't up as straight. I can't get as deep in my twist, and that's okay. Let's just notice the difference from side to side and stay here for another breath or two. And then let's come around to the front. We'll uncross the legs, straighten it up, give it another little shake. For those of us on the ground, let's come into a wide leg forward fold. If you're in the chair, step the legs nice and wide so you have nice space to fold forward here as well. Sitting up on those sit bones. So if you find you're rolling back, you may want to, a couple of options, bring the hands behind, help yourself sit up nice and tall. So help that pelvis roll so that you're sitting up nice and tall on the sit bones. Another option is to roll up a towel, your mat, or even sitting on a block might help. Toes are pointing up towards the ceiling here. Let's pretend we still have that plywood stuck to our backs and bellies, and we'll start to walk ourselves forward. So same thing here. You might feel like, ooh, I'm not going very far. That's because we're not rounding down into the stretch. We're walking forward with that tall spine. So just walk yourself forward until you notice your toes start to cave in a little bit, and then just ease up a little bit. If you're in the chair, you might want to be using your thighs to support yourself as you hinge forward, or if not, if you can reach down to the floor or the block that you have placed there, then go ahead and do that. So just sort of easing into this stretch here. Let's stay for another breath. And then let's walk ourselves up. And now we're going to do a bit of side stretching. So we're going to reach our left hand along the left leg, and we're going to bend sideways. So we're not actually bringing the chest down towards the leg. We're staying nice and open. So the right arm can sweep up and over and help guide us towards that left leg. We stay nice and heavy through the sit bones here, finding a side stretch. This left arm can stay on the leg. It can stay straightened. This arm can reach up or over, or if all of this is too much, you can shorten the lever by bringing the hand behind the head, or even just bringing it behind your back and making sure to roll that shoulder open. So staying here if you're on the floor. If you're in the chair, options for this side bend. Of course, we've got our legs nice and wide, so we're nice and supported on our chair. And we can also just bend sideways or rest elbow on the knee. We don't want to collapse too much though, so use a little bit of that core strength and press the elbow into the knee. That helps open up that chest so it faces forward, just like those of us on the floor. And same options here. We can reach up, over, behind, or behind. Just make sure we're rolling that shoulder open, making sure we're pressing into that elbow so that we're spinning the chest open as well. This is actually a really nice option. So wherever you are, you can stay for a few more breaths. I'm just going to make my way back down to the chair, to the floor. Let's stay for another full cycle of breath here. Inhale and exhale. And on the inhale, let's pull ourselves back up through center, and then we'll go to the other side. So now right arm reaches along the right leg, left arm sweeps up and helps guide us over towards the right. So again, don't collapse forward. Really think about bending truly sideways, staying heavy through this hip. So don't let it come off the ground either. Root down, reach up and over. Elbow can be on the knee. If you're feeling really warmed up, it can be on the ground. And again, this top arm can reach up, over, behind, or behind. And we won't let ourselves collapse. We're going to stay nice and open, and we're all going to be pressing that heart space forward. And sort of like think about as if you're trying to turn the heart up towards the ceiling. Really find that nice deep side stretch. We're going to stay for 2 more full cycles of breath here. No collapsing, making sure we're opening, we're rolling top shoulder down and back. 1 more cycle. And then let's come on up on the inhale. Awesome. Let's just bring the legs together. Forward fold, straight legs or butterfly legs. And this time you can just sort of melt down. Another option might be to get into a child's pose. Of course, if you're in the chair, just fold down over the legs, either with the legs stepped apart or together. Just to sort of breathe into the backside body, round through the spine a bit. Hang out here, make it nice and easy. And then we'll roll on up. Good. All right. We're on the floor here. Let's come into another sort of side stretch. We're going to roll over onto one hip and stack our knees and ankles. So we're sort of sitting in this casual bent leg position here. And we're going to hold onto our ankles with our left hand. And then hopefully we have enough balance. You can adjust the legs so that you feel balanced, because we're going to release that right arm up, inhale, and then find another variation of a side bend and into this, I think it's called a mermaid pose. So same thing here, we want to make sure we're really reaching up and out through the side body, that the chest is facing forward, finding our side stretch. If you're in the chair, you can flow through the side stretches that we did at the beginning of class. You could cross your legs and find this side stretch. Or you can skip it all together. You can do the wide leg one we just did, but we're all going to stay for one more breath. Let's inhale up through center, release. Good. From here, let's just unstack the legs, and we're sort of creating two 90-degree angles here with the knees, and that right hand's going to come behind. The left arm's going to give us a little bit of momentum as we sweep it up and over and open up, finding this opening front and side body. Now, staying here or moving with the breath on the floor, I'll demonstrate an option in the chair. Okay, so for our chair, like I was saying, that first side bend when we had our legs stacked, you could stack your legs cross, or you could just keep them uncrossed, move with the breath. Whatever option you did at the beginning is a nice option. And then when we get to that stacking of the legs and front side body open, a couple of options here for you. Again, depending on the chair, if it's wobbly, you don't want to be too dynamic. If it's nice and stable, you could step the feet sort of in that 90-90 like we had, press into your chair and lift the hips. Or if not, staying seated, just step, I'm just going to turn sideways to show you. Staying seated in the chair, just stepping one leg back and just finding a bit of a hip flexor stretch. So you can have the knee bent or as straight as you like and rotate that pelvis under. So we're really opening up sort of through the front side body. An option, of course, is to add a side bend if you like in the chair, just because that dynamic movement that some of us on the floor might be doing might not be feasible depending on the type of chair that you have. Okay, I'm coming back down to the floor here. And let's see, I'll do a couple more here to catch up with you. Inhale here. One more. And lower down. Good. On the floor, let's lean back into our hands and we'll step the feet in front and windshield wiper the legs. Just wiggle them out a little bit. You can do this in the chair as well. Just shake it out. We're just sort of recalibrating, and then of course we'll come up through center and we'll roll over to the other side. So now I'm on my left knee, I've stacked the knees and ankles basically, and I'm holding on to the ankles with my right hand, rooting down through the sit bones. Inhale, sweep my left arm up and over. So again, in the chair, you can cross the opposite leg, you can flow with a side stretch, anything you want. We're really just doing a lot of side bending, a lot of opening down the sides today. Just keep reaching up and over. And again, there's always these arm options. You don't have to have the arm up. We just want to make sure we're spinning the heart space sort of forward or even up towards the ceiling a little bit. The arm does help sort of extend and create a bit more stretch. Let's stay for another round of breath. Let's inhale up through center. This hand comes behind, so the left hand comes behind. As we unstack the knees now, we create our two little angles, and our right hand's going to give us a little bit of momentum to help open up and lower. Now you could stay or move with breath. It's your choice. If it feels good to hang out, hang out. If it feels good to move with your breath, do that. We'll do two more. Awesome. Let's come down. Let's lean back again. Step those feet forward and windshield wiper them. All right, let's come into our gate pose. So we're gonna just roll over to one side and make our way up to our knees. Now, if you need extra padding, go ahead and double up your mat or place a towel or anything else you have underneath your knees. I'll demonstrate some gate pose options in a minute on the chair. But for those of us on the floor, we'll come up to our knees. And to begin with, let's step our left leg out, and we want to step it out. We want to make sure we're engaged through the core, so the glutes and the belly engaged. We've got a nice angle. I'll just show you from the side here. We've got our, we're not like this. We're stacking knee and hip and really engaging through the core there, the core being glutes and belly, to help create that nice angle so that we're really stacked and our the force is being held from this bone, not the joints in the knee. And then the leg is stepped out, the toes are facing forward, and we're actually, the foot is planted on the floor here. If you're in the chair, it looks almost the same. And it looks almost the same like I was saying. You just won't be on your knee, but you can step the one foot out to the side, arrange yourself on your chair so that you feel stable. And then of course we can find our side bend here. Okay, and we might flow, and so options to flow, whether you're in the chair or on the knee, are like that. I'm gonna come back off the chair here, come down to the floor to join you. Let's find our side bend. Let's just stay here for a breath. And then if we're deciding to flow, we're gonna come up, and then lots of options here. So maybe you wanna flow and you're not using the chair, but you don't wanna go all the way down to the mat. This chair can act as a guide and a support, telling you where to stop. Maybe you're feeling like we've done a lot of stretching, and you might feel a little juicier and like you can make it down to the floor or a block. Remember, a block is always an option. Not flowing is an option. Whatever you want. Just a little bit more movement here. Maybe just fingertips. Maybe trying a little bit of everything. I'm going to try coming to that chair. Oh, I like that. And wherever we are, we'll pause in the side stretch here, making sure that core is engaged, glutes are working, feeling a nice big stretch. And then we'll inhale up through center, and let's step that knee in. Option to have a child's pose here, where we can come down off the knees for a break and then walk ourselves into a child's pose. If we're in the chair, go ahead, you can just melt forward over top of your thighs. Legs can be together or a little bit further apart. All right, when we feel ready, we'll walk ourselves up, bring ourselves all the way back up, and we'll find that nice, strong gate pose on the opposite side. So we'll step that right foot out, engage through the core here, stack the knee over the hips. Remember that from the side. We don't want to have our bum sticking out. Let's bring in, engage, engage. Leg out to the right, toes facing forward. And then when we're ready, we'll reach up and over. Let's stay here first. Just get a sense of really rooting down through the feet and the knee. And again, hopefully you've got some padding under your knee if you need that. And then option to stay here if it feels good, option to flow. Now you may just flow halfway. You may have a chair like we did on the other side. You may flow down to a block or the floor. Moving with your breath, changing your mind if you are flowing and then you decide you don't want to, whatever feels best. Just a little bit of momentum and work here to warm us up. And we'll do one more flow, if you're doing flows. And then let's come on back up here. Stay here for a couple of breaths. Remember, the arm can always be behind us. Let's all make sure we're rolling the shoulder down and back. Really feeling a nice side stretch, whatever arm variation we've taken. And then we'll come on up, step the foot in, and we'll sit back down. Option to find child's pose here with legs together, or a bit more space, walk the belly down to the ground, relax. And let's come on up. Let's make our way down to our backs. We're going to do a little bit of glute stretching. I don't know about you, but I find when I sort of step my foot out sideways, my glutes get a little sticky. So we're going to come on down to our backs, or if you prefer to do a seated figure four, you can do that in the chair. Figure four, crossing ankle over knee and leaning forward. Nothing new there. So options to be seated on the floor or the chair, or come all the way down to the mat where the feet will plant on the ground. And we'll start by lifting our left leg up to the sky. Let's just check in with the back of that leg. So if you're in the chair, just stick the leg straight out in front of you. Check in with how it's feeling down the back. And then we'll flex the foot and cross it over the right knee. And either using our hand or the strength of our glutes, we can open up that leg and we can stay here, or we can find the threading of the needle and draw the opposite knee in. Draw that right knee in. If you're in the chair, folding forward over the crossed legs is the option. Once you're in your figure four here, you can stay in stillness. You can rock side to side, anything that you want. Just trying to stretch out those outer hips a bit. Like I said, might get a little sticky in those side bends. And I really feel the need to stretch out this sort of area here after those side bends. I don't know why. I think it's because, we don't do things all the time. It gets feels a little new for our body, and it just doesn't know what to do. So then we just want to come back to something that feels familiar and comforting and stretchy and juicy and good. Maybe that's it. So wherever you are, just stay for a couple more breaths here. And then let's release the threading of the needle, let the foot find the ground, uncross the leg. Option to windshield wiper a little bit if that feels good. Notice how you feel on the left and right side. And then we'll set back up for the other side. So feet planted into the ground if you're lying on the back. Let's lift that right leg. Let's just check in with the back of the right leg here, see how we're feeling. Mine still feels the same. I feel a little stiff still, and that's okay. There's no right or wrong. Let's cross that right ankle over left knee and let the right knee splay out. and reaching through to thread the needle if you like, finding stillness or a gentle rock for a few rounds of breath on this side. And then when we're ready, we'll come back to stillness. We'll let go of the thread of the needle, uncross the legs. Option here to draw the knees in towards the chest. If you're in the chair, just draw one knee in and then the other. You can also even curl in towards the knees if you're in the chair. You can do that on the floor as well. If you're on the floor, maybe rocking back and forth. And then let's lower the feet down and find a gentle twist. So if you're in the chair, you'll just find the twist that we found at the beginning of the class. If you're on the mat, let's let the knees fall over to one side. Now, any variation works. You can cross the legs over and help guide the knees over. You can tuck the knees in towards the chest. You can have the bottom leg straight and just let the one top leg cross over. And let's see if we can open up the elbows and shoulders along the mat so that the heart is facing up towards the ceiling here. And then only if it feels good, maybe looking away from the knee in the opposite direction for a spinal twist. Breathe into that side body. We did a lot of focus on the side body. Let's send some breath there. Let's send some loving kindness there. And then let's bring the gaze back through center. Let's bring the knees back through center as well. Maybe even readjusting the hips if need be. And then we'll find our way to the other side. So again, maybe the knees are drawn in and you're falling into a twist. Maybe you're crossing the legs over, falling into a twist. And maybe the bottom leg is going to be straight and you're guiding the opposite knee over into a twist. We're trying to draw the opposite shoulder along the mat. Arm can be out along the floor or in a cactus. And then if it's okay for the neck, turning the gaze away from the crossed over knee. Breathing into the side body on this side now. Filling up the belly, ribs and chest. And then when we feel ready, there's no rush. Bringing the gaze back through center. Bringing the knees back through center. Recalibrating the hips if need be. Maybe windshield wipering the knees. Maybe coming into either a ball, or another option might be happy baby, where the feet are up towards the ceiling and we're reaching for the thighs, the ankles, or the feet, drawing the knees down towards the armpits, towards the side of the body. Nice and open here. Try to roll that whole lower back and tailbone onto the floor if you're choosing happy baby. If you're in the chair, maybe a wide leg forward fold again. And as always in happy baby, stillness is welcome, as well as rocking or straightening through one leg and then the other if you have the space and the room for that. So lots of options here for our final few breaths before moving into our restful Shavasana. If there's some other posture that your body's craving, by all means go ahead and explore that now. And then when we feel ready, we can draw the feet together, draw the knees together, and start to make our way to our Shavasana. Now, options for that are knees bent with the feet wide so the knees can fall in towards one another, just for support, so it takes some work out of the low back. Or we can straighten our legs out along the mat, really sort of wiggle around, take up as much room as you can, bringing hands down by our sides. If you're in the chair, resting hands on the lap, wherever it feels comfortable. And just like at the beginning of class, if it feels comfortable to close the eyes, go ahead and do that, or rest the gaze softly on something still. And just start to scan the body from head to toe, front to back, and side to side. Notice if any of those areas of discomfort have changed, and if not, that's okay. There's no right or wrong. Shavasana is the time for our physical and energetic bodies to absorb all that good work we just did and turn it into something magical. It's a time for integration and rest. And know that rest is different from sleep, and that we need both every day, and we should never pass up an opportunity to just rest and do nothing. And as always, the beauty of practicing through the lens is that if you want or need to stay in your Shavasana for any more time, by all means, press pause now or let the video play out and stay exactly as you are. If you're ready to bring movement back and get on with your day, go ahead and wiggle fingers and toes, circle wrists and ankles, and maybe stretch long or curl into a little ball one last time, just before rolling over to one side and making your way to a comfortable seated position if you're not already there. Hands can rest down on our lap or at heart center or in prayer if you're comfortable with that. I want to thank you so much for allowing me to guide you today through your postures. I hope that the stretching and movement was exactly what you needed, and I hope to be able to do this with you again very soon. Until then, take care. Okay, thanks everyone. Oh, it's always nice to do a stretchy yoga flow. It kind of always feels like the right thing to do and just what the doctor ordered. So we have a great week. I'll take care and see you next time. Bye.